Welcome to this lesson on solving customer problems. In this lesson we will look at a step-by-step process you can apply to successfully resolve customer complaints and problems. When customers have a complaint or a problem to be solved, they want solutions, not excuses. To ensure that you address customer needs effectively in these situations, you need to be effective at problem solving. In this unit, you will learn how to use a proven problem-solving methodology. To solve a problem, you need to first identify the problem, and determine if the problem is one that should be solved. Once you decide to solve the problem, follow these 6 proven steps to solve the problem. Step 1. Identify the problem. Step 2. Compile data and analyze the problem. Step 3. Identify the solution alternatives. Step 4. Evaluate the alternatives, and select the best fit solution. Step 5. Implement the solution. And Step 6. Monitor the results, and adjust as required. Let's look at this process in more detail. Before you can decide on a course of action, you must first know the nature and scope of the problem you are facing. Often, a customer may not know how to explain his or her problem well, especially if he or she speaks English as a second language, or has a communication-related disability. In such cases, it is up to you to do a little detective work, and ask questions or review available information. Begin your journey into problem solving by apologizing for any inconvenience you or your organization has caused. The customer probably wants someone to be responsible. A simple, "I am sorry you were inconvenienced. How may I assist you?" can go a long way toward mending the relationship. And take responsibility for the problem, even if you didn't actually cause it. Remember that, in the customer's eyes, you represent the organization. Therefore, you are chosen to be responsible. Don't point fingers at other employees, policies, or procedures. It is also important to let the customer know that you are sincerely regretful that the problem has occurred, and will do whatever possible to quickly and effectively solve it. Ask specific questions, so that you can gather the information you need to help identify and solve the customer's problem. The only way to get the information you want is to ask the right questions. You might use a variety of question types. In this next slides, we will look at some examples. Open-ended questions are good for defining issues, clarifying, gathering information, and getting involvement. When asking open-ended questions, phrase them in a manner that allows the customer to respond, as he or she feels necessary. Help focus the customer's response by asking specific open-ended questions. Note the difference between the sample questions that follow. A non-specific question might be, "How do you like this new product?" And a specific question might be, "What uses can you see for this new product?" Although the first question may yield a useful response, you have not asked for a specific, focused piece of information. On the other hand, the second question will get the same bit of information, but will also lead the customer to think of specific applications. You have thereby created a need in the customer's mind, and she or he may now buy your product or service. Closed-ended questions are sometimes valuable for getting a quick response, gaining minimal involvement, controlling the conversation, verifying information, and clarifying or confirming points. For example, "Mr. Ho, didn't you say that your son would be the primary user of this product?" The answer would be, yes or no. "Mrs. Lakata, how many times have you used our services?" In this case, the answer would require a specific number. And, "Ms. Hilland, do you prefer the blue or yellow one?" Leaving a choice between 2 items, by asking questions, you may be able to help the person solve the problem, without the added expense of shipping, or having a service technician call on the customer. You may ask for background information about the television set, and then ask some specific questions about the problem. Questions such as the following might be appropriate. What model is it? What, exactly, is wrong? Does it have an antenna attached? Is there a remote control? Have you checked to see that the power cord is firmly attached? Have you tried using a different electrical outlet? Or equals, have you checked to make sure that the power strip is turned on? To be able to effectively determine a course of action, you need as much information as possible, and a thorough understanding of what you are dealing with. To get that data, requires active listening and a little investigative work. You may need to collect information from a variety of sources, such as sales receipts, correspondence, the customer, public records, the manufacturer, and files. In gathering data, you should also do a quick assessment of how serious the problem is. You may hear about one instance of a defective product, or you may hear about a pattern of inefficient service. Once you have collected information through questioning and from other sources, spend some time reviewing what you have found. If time permits, and you think it necessary or helpful. For example, the customer is not present or on the telephone, ask for the opinions of others. For example, co-workers, team leaders, or technical experts. Ultimately, what you are trying to do is to determine the choices available to you that will help satisfy the customer and solve the problems. The next step is to identify the solution alternatives. First, let customers know that you are willing to work with them to find an acceptable solution to the problem. Make sure that you consider various possibilities and alternatives when thinking about potential solutions. Tell them what you can do. Gain their agreement, and then set about taking action. At this point, it is really important to balance the interests of the customer with those of the organization. To do this, be willing to listen to the customer's suggestions and to think creatively. Perhaps you will come up with ideas other than the ones that you and your organization typically use. Don't sacrifice customer satisfaction for convenience. If necessary, seek approval from higher authority to use creative solutions. For example, to make a special purchase of an alternative item for the customer, or to give a refund. The next step is to evaluate the alternatives and select the best fit solution. Once you have collected all the facts, examine your alternatives or options. Be careful not to let cost be the deciding factor. A little extra time and money spent to solve a problem could save a customer and prevent recurring problems. Consider the following factors in this evaluation process. What is the most efficient way to solve this problem? Which are the most effective options for solving this problem? Which options are the most cost-effective? Will the options being considered solve the problem and satisfy the customer? Based on analysis of the alternatives, and any others you wish to use in your evaluation process, make a decision on what your course of action will be. To do this, ask the customer, which option would you prefer? This simple question puts the customer into the decision-making position and makes the customer feel empowered. The customer chooses. If the request is reasonable and practical, proceed and solve the problem. If not, negotiate a different alternative. The next step is to actually make the solution happen. This may be something you can do immediately, or it may require a process, which may take some time. For example, you may need to order a replacement device, or you may need to carry out some work to make the solution happen. Whatever this situation, take responsibility, and make sure you deliver on your promises. Once you have provided the solution, monitor the impact or results. Do not assume your customer is satisfied, especially if any negotiation occurred between the two of you. You can monitor the situation with a follow-up call, asking if he or she needs anything else when you see him or her, or sending a written follow-up. For example, a thank you letter which also asks about customer satisfaction. If you determine that your customer is not satisfied, or additional needs are present, go back to step 1 and start over. Fundamentally, customer complaints are about problems, which normally can be resolved. How quickly and how effectively you and your organization resolve these problems will determine whether your organization's market reputation is positive or negative. All staff should be trained in solving customer problems, and the organization should develop policies and procedures to embed the problem-solving methodology in daily work practices. We will learn more about complaints policies and procedures in Unit 8. There are a number of activities to complete for this unit. Take the time to complete these in your manual. In this way, you will better learn from and retain the knowledge covered in this unit. Thank you for watching this lesson. We hope you have found it useful. Visit our website to view our range of courses on managing customer service.